I hath returned. Here comes the battle. Had to make the rounds, make sure nothing's on fire or exploded, and make my lady some Pop-Tarts. So the good news is the house is finally cooling down. The bad news is that the room is in such a weird way that it is just so hot. So hopefully I can kind of just force some nice breeze in there, cool things down, so we don't sleep in an oven. I didn't feel right at my old job, so I quit. Yeah, don't let your work dictate your total happiness. I mean, ideally it should be giving you some sort of satisfaction or happiness. And if it's making you feel like garbage, then get the fuck out of there. Okay, so what magic did we purchase here? Let's find out. So we got Cure 4, Excelente, and we got Ice 3, Fire 3, Lightning 3. So we still have a lot of spell slots for this guy. And now we've got spell slots opened up for our Knight and our Ninja. So actually, it would be not a bad idea to just go and maybe look at those. Actually, we only got $7,000, so let's hold off on that until we do a dungeon. Until we do a little dungeon. So here's a whole new continent that we haven't even been to yet. Here's the basin of the falls. We got to get to that waterfall right there. I think, let's see, I think there's somewhere we can get to from up here. Yeah, so we can start from up here and make our way over there, but apparently it's way tougher. There's a lot more crazier monsters. And we've got another desert to explore, but alright, let's do first, we'll go and visit this new town. Let's meet some more friends. Check out DMs2 on Discord later. I did see that you sent me the link there, so I'll check that out when I'm done. I just want to make sure the audio levels are balanced, because sometimes for some reason I'll switch over to Final Fantasy and the music is so much more loud than it's supposed to be. Actually, it probably is really loud. It's way louder than it's supposed to be. I just turned it down a bit. That's looking more or less where it should be. Thank you, VU Meter, for showing me a visual representation of sound waves so that I can make a rough guess as to how it's good. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, so I gotta outfit my guys. I'm so excited. I completely forgot that I changed class and I haven't redone everybody's armor and stuff. I mean, the wizards are still pretty weak on what they can equip, but Ninja, he's been, well, as a thief, he's been kind of shafted through most of this game here, but now, oh buddy, equip yourself. Now we've got 2 ice sword wielders. This is one of the best swords in the game, like legitimately. I'd say overall, it has the best shelf life of any of the swords. Like, you get it, you know, roughly halfway through the game, but then you're gonna find that you're using it probably through most of the rest of the game. So that's great. Now let's, armor-wise, also, he wasn't doing so hot, but now we can do Ice Shield, and we'll get him with the Flame Armor. Get out of there. Oh. Oh well. And then we'll do flame shield and ice armor. So now they have intermatching protections from elementals. Everybody's got a protective ring, which means that they shall not fear death. And that Zeus gauntlet, motherfucking infinite cast of lightning 2. Also, that we've got a heal staff, so that's pretty cool. Infinite cast of the heal spell. And we got Nacho on deck. Nacho, everybody. Hello. Why did Nacho get booed off the stage at the comedy store? Because he was too cheesy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm off to jump in the suicide machine. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you. These parts of like after getting the airship is just such a cool part of the game. I don't know why I like it so much. Like, it's just, you know, it's not like it's overly better, but you know, you get more of the exploration stuff happening. As before, for most of the part of the game, it's like kind of holding your hand a little just to be sure that you can figure out what you need to do. It's very like A to B and that kind of thing, and I'm not gonna... This is bad. So yeah, let's see what we got. My legs are so beautiful. It's nice to have legs. Yeah. It's an odd thing for a human woman to say. Underhill, the caravan master, had something very strange. I think we should investigate. Have you found Oxale? I don't know what it is. Let's speak to this old guy. He'll probably tell us something wise. Until 200 years ago, the mermaids lived in the shrine. Then, in fire and smoke, it sank. The mermaids? We may never know. So the water shrine sounded like a pretty cool place until 200 years ago. This town used to be prosperous 200 years ago. I mean, it looks pretty cool now. My BF and I are literally falling asleep sitting down. That's the way to do it. Just sit and sleep, and then wake up and also sleep. Cope says he saw a shining object fall. I don't know why I'm doing the voice from the last town, but it just makes me laugh. You have legs! Alright, what's going on in this town? Everyone's talking about legs. Like they've never had legs. Saber and Blind. Both spells apparently not really worth it. Saber doesn't work, it's another glitched spell. A rub. Well, everybody's already got the things, but heal 3. What's level 7 magic? Heal 3 I definitely want to get. It's leg day. That's right, we don't skip leg day on the lazy shell. Level 7, we got Cure 4, we got Heal 3 there. Okay. So it could help in a pinch. My father runs the caravan. He is having a closeout sale near the oasis in the western desert. Alright, well, we should probably check that out. Oh, a dragon person. People say that when the shrine sank, many treasures were lost. Also, they tell of a cryptic stone plate. We're getting a lot of good information day here. Information here. I don't know why I said day. It's info day. And this doctor is about to get knocked the fuck out if he doesn't turn around and talk to me. My brother, Dr. Oon, has studied Lefanish, the language of the Sky Warriors. If he had the slab, he could teach it. I'm glad we stopped and talked to that guy. So we're looking for a cryptic slab. Oh, shit. Talk to me. Well, well. I see you have been honored. Yeah, I suppose if we talked to him before, he would tell us to go to the Dragon King. Sky Warriors. He's high on some shit, and I want it. My name is Cobb. I saw it north, near the waterfall. Believe me, I think it was a robot. You know, Roboman? Shiny metal legs. I made a submarine to save the mermaids, but to go deep enough, it will require some oxale. Alright, so someone's asking me if we got oxale. We found that this guy's brother is Dr. Oon, who we met back in Melmond. And he can tell us about the Sky Warriors language. Everybody's really into legs here. And a very specific interaction. We don't have to get into it, but oxale, is that what they're high on? It's very possible. I wouldn't put it past them. They seem kind of crazy there. And who wouldn't be? It's a pretty nutso place. Oh shit. I forgot to sell our stuff. Oh, but there's no... That's why we didn't do it. There's no weapon or armor store there. Give me that shit. Yo, that's some pretty good oxale. Bro, this stuff's shit. It doesn't even let you breathe. Don't be so chintzy with the oxale, man. I need to visit the mermaids in the water shrine. Don't bogart the oxale. So, we're in a very silly position where we don't have a whole lot of money. We're gonna need at least 50 grand to go visit that caravan. That lady said the guy's having a closeout sale. And there was some stuff about the ferry back in the city of Gaia. If I fall asleep, don't mind me. That's okay. A lurk is just as good as a chat to a blind bat. I'm perfectly okay with talking to myself. I do it often. In fact, Justine frequently remarks that I'm actually mumbling and talking to myself, and I don't necessarily realize that I do. I just like get really deep into my thoughts and start thinking things through, and then I end up kind of talking my thoughts, and I don't really realize that I'm talking out loud. Apparently, it's something that smart people do. They just mutter to themselves. Although it is also a sign of being a crazy person, but being very intelligent and being crazy is often kind of like intertwined. It's a very thin line between the two. Oh, a gurpede. These are the types of peeds that growl at you. Why, there's one there. Let's listen. Yes. Quite frightening, young man. Get your ugly ass legs away from my line of sight. You sicken me. Don't ever look at me or my son or my son's son. On my san again. The time of my life, and I owe it all to you. Okay, so these ones I think were pretty well. Copper ring we can get rid of. Clearing out the armor that we don't need to use. Poo and ass. Just keeping it so fucking real. Are we equipped with all of this? Really? Let's double check. It's almost like if they set something up so I'd be able to see what people are holding on to, then this wouldn't be such a problem, but... Do we need the caps? Like, really? I feel like maybe... Just maybe. They're taking up space that we don't really need. Like, let's see. Okay, so... Ass is absorbed as 24, evade is 62. Let's see what happens if we unequip the cap. 23 and 60. Yeah, it's like so unnoticeable. So we'll get rid of the caps. Now we've got another armor slot for them to pick up something, carry some stuff. To sell it for 40 gold. Yes. Never gonna let a gold piece slip by. Alright. Now we're gonna make a pit stop to a town that has heal as the first item in their item shop. I'm still awake. That's great. We're not alone. This is the part of the evening where I start singing just pieces of stuff that may not even exist. And now we get to play poor inventory management or suicide. Which is it gonna be? Spin that wheel, spin that wheel. If I die, don't mind me. Yeah, if your brain explodes from a sleep deprivation related ailment, that's totally okay. I'm hearing some weird sounds outside, but it's probably just people like coming home and moving things around. They're just like, I don't like that it's so late and the doors are still wide open, but without that, we would bake ourselves alive. This house is just so stupid in its design. Like, there's... Gosh, what are those? Those windows are probably like 6 feet high, and you can't open them in the bedroom. There's no screen, there's no nothing, it's just a giant glass plate. Passed out for not eating in 8 days? Wow. That is a serious fasting. I hope you didn't have to go to the hospital or anything. 1, 2, 3, 5, 0 gold. You know, it is times like this that I wished that I did play the updated version. The remastered version for like Dawn of Souls. where they fix the spells, they change the names, they let you see what inventory you have and buy inventory in bulk, you know, stuff. I had to go to the hospital for lots of other things. Yeah, I'm no stranger to the hospital. I actually somehow got a staph infection a few years ago and almost died. And I went to the hospital several different times and like the walk-in clinic and stuff because I was having very painful breakouts on my arms. My skin was doing some kind of crazy shit, and it turns out like it was basically a flesh-eating bacteria. Somehow. And like nobody like cared enough to really look into it. It was kind of aggravating because they're just like, here, put some cream on it. I already am putting cream on it. I want somebody to tell me what's going on. I had one guy like pissed that he's even looking at me. He's like, it's just a rash. There's no judgment here. I'll tell you that right now. This is the place where to be judged, it's not going to be something like that. The judgment comes when it's like you're a complete asshole and you're being really awful to somebody or saying something like repugnant. That's when I draw the line. But in terms of other things, like we all struggle. I've been pretty for the most part, without being like overly you know, in your face about it. I'm pretty open about like my struggles with mental health or just needing to kind of take time if I'm like I'm feeling depressed or very anxious or, you know, going through some shit, and I don't turn it into like sad kid diary hour, because that's not why we're here. We're here to kind of leave that stuff behind. But I do have an openness about that, and I feel like I want this to be the kind of place where people feel kind of okay to just do that. Lost friends and family because of my mind and history. Well, that's, you know, we all get dealt some pretty crazy cards in our life, and a big part is realizing that, you know, it may not be your fault about, you know, what happens is not your fault, but it has happened, and it's now your responsibility how you choose to move forward. And that's a huge lesson I'm consistently trying to remind myself about, because I've had to go through a lot of shit. I'm still going through shit. You know, there's times when I just want to smash my head through the wall because I'm just so frustrated at these situations that I keep finding myself and our family in, and I'm just like, why don't things just work out? But that's also not exactly how life works. It's not, the world is gonna bend around to your perfect ideal world, right? There's always gonna be something happening, and you can either be the person who gives up and says, you know, and allow yourself to be overwhelmed by obstacles or the perception of obstacles, or you can be the person that's like, all right, let's deal with it. We gotta pick up and go. You know, like, no matter what happens, it does come down to that. It's not your fault, but it is now a responsibility. And how you handle that responsibility is going to either make things more difficult or more easy for you to move forward in the future. It's a big life lesson And it's a weird one to think about. You ever need me, I'm on the Discord. Sure, I'm not old, but I sure as hell have experience to talk. Well, I appreciate that. And that's a wonderful thing about this whole thing, where it's just like, you know, playing games and meeting people and just everybody kind of coming together in ways that is, you know, supportive, and it's awesome. I was actually talking to another streamer, Finrear. I like watching his stuff every once in a while. It just sucks because he's always streaming at the same time that I am, like when I start. So I try and pop in before I get started and just kind of say hello and let him know what's going on and everything. And he was talking about how, you know, he was very grateful for the fact that he gets to stream and meet people and talk to people, and it's kind of brought him out of his shell and everything. And it's just, it's such a wonderful thing, you know, all these people that wouldn't otherwise have these abilities to connect people and to kind of talk to people and grow out of these social situations, you know. And it seems so silly because it is over video games. But then again, it's more than that. I mean, it's just video games happen to be the common thread. But, you know, you get a lot of people that, like in that situation, where they feel like they can come out of their shells and be more themselves. Or you have people that are going through shit and then finding like a friend or an ally who's like, hey, I got your back. You know, there's somebody here to talk to. And that kind of stuff is happening all the time through this whole bizarre phenomenon of streaming. It's always more than that. That's right. Absolutely right. It's always more than just that. And that was a reason why I kind of wanted to get in on that. You know, I'll just run and get out of the way. I know I should be getting more money, but that's why I'm glad I met Dead and Midna. Yeah, wicked people, and I'm glad I got to be part of the guild. It was a really cool thing. Meet all these really awesome, very nice people. And it's great because it's like, yeah, now like we live all over the world. Would have no other ways or means of coming into contact. And everybody's just kind of like thrown together in video games and stuff like that. It's an amazing thing. Let's build a house on top of our canoe and save our game and get our magic back. Alright. Let's waterfall. So this place gets kind of crazy. There's some... Anyone could leave me to who I was, but they decide to help. Well, that's... Yeah, that's the quality of... The quality of the person who decides to help, you know, that's a cool thing when somebody wants to help. That's a good feeling, like you haven't been left behind or anything like that. Is there... I don't have that yet, but let's just use harm, and if I just keep using that Zeus gauntlet, I know that it isn't fire, but it's still magic for free. But yeah, I feel like that's a big part of my relationship with Justine, is that we, you know, we definitely butt heads. We're both very stubborn people, but also we have come from our own experience of like suffering or feeling like we couldn't, you know, be loved or be understood, and so there's kind of that, like, yeah, like I understand, you know. That's when it comes down to when we can finally calm down and stop being mad at each other if we're fighting. Then there is like an understanding of like, yeah, it's okay. I get you, or at the very least I'm trying to, and that's why, you know, that's why we've stayed together. That's why we love each other. That's why we have a child together. We're building a family. And I mean, that in itself is a crazy, crazy thing. The idea of being a parent is something that can like swallow you alive if you let it. Because now it's like, oh my god, there's this life, this person, this soul that I have to shape. But I also know that, you know, I've gained some wisdom over time. I'd like to think anyway, and also I've made a lot of mistakes in my life too, but that's where wisdom comes from, right? So hopefully I can just impart as much of that into my son and our daughter Julia. Just make sure we get some good people out into the world trying to make things better. Yeah, and you know, that's your decision, you know. Never, I always say like, never say never, but yeah, I don't like the idea that it's like, oh, you absolutely like have to, when it's like somebody who has had kids, they just have their kids and they're like, oh, it's such a magical experience, oh, blah blah blah, and then someone lets them know like, yeah, you know, I'd never have kids, and they're like, oh, you say that now, but oh, you just look at his little chubby cheeks, oh, you'll get baby fever and all these things. And it's like, I've been in those situations where I see that happen, that exchange happens in front of me, and I just want to slap them. Like, did you not hear them the first time? Like, they said fucking no. They said they don't fucking want kids, and that's okay. It's more within their decision. It's not like it's like, oh, you're missing out, you've gotta watch Lost or Game of Thrones. Like, you say that now, but if you just one episode and you're hooked, and then you'll be pumping out at babies, you know. It's like ridiculous. That isn't it. If they don't want to have kids, they don't want to have kids, and that's fine. Those are the kinds of parents that I often try to just avoid. It's tough. That's so me. It's like later, trust me, I'm like, fuck that. Yeah, like, I always wanted to. I always wanted kids. But I also was like, later. So I knew, but I knew I was like, not right now. So when we were getting close to when, you know, we knew we were going to be having a baby, I felt like my life, or my desire for what I wanted out of life, was changing. And so that was kind of a big indicator for me that it was like, maybe it's time to think about it. Because my life was designed around a bit of hedonism. It was like the, you know, rock and roll the rock and roll playbook. And I got to live that life for a few years and just make all kinds of mistakes. And I'm glad that I did, because it's, like I said, it's only gonna make me a bit of a better dad. And especially because I got that kind of shit out of the way. I went and I partied and I did some traveling and, you know, did the band thing where it's like we're young and wearing silly tight clothes and dressing like freaks. I did my David Bowie time. But yeah, I definitely thirsted for something else. And I think, you know, Justine and Julia were a big part of that. Kind of realizing that my values were changing. What was the most important thing, or what I wanted to work for in life suddenly wasn't, okay, we gotta build the band up. We gotta make a name for ourselves, and we gotta try and get out there and make a record and get signed and do all this shit and all these very silly goals that suddenly aren't so important when you start realizing that, like, hey, like we're gonna go out to the, like, this place and have a party and everybody's gonna be high as shit. And I'm like, well, it's Wednesday and I gotta wake up and take Julia to school in the morning, so I'm gonna pass. And realizing that, like, I wasn't in a position where I was like, damn, like, I want to go. Suddenly that feeling was starting to go away, and I was like, no, that's fine. Like, I'm cool with walking Julia to school. Like, it wasn't like it was like trading something. It was like, I don't see the value in that anymore. And when that started happening, then I was like, oh shit. Okay. I think that part of me is kind of, you know, that part of my life is coming to an end. And so the reality of having a kid and being a dad and everything was kind of rushing up to meet me if I wanted it. So when change is presented, it's what you want. Yeah. I found that I was kind of leaning towards that, although probably in some denial for some time, just because I was like, well, no, I wanted to be in a band, and this is what I want. But then things were changing in the band, and suddenly the band wasn't what I wanted. And for a long time, that was very sad as I was experiencing all of that. But then it was like, you know what? Now I'm cleaning out. I'm doing spring cleaning almost in my life, making room for this stuff to kind of change and to happen. And, you know, having a baby and looking into starting a business and changing the way I'm thinking about what I can do to be successful and progressive and productive and moving forward. So needless to say, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride. Things have been wild. Hello, robot. Oh, monsters. And this could get ugly, because we don't have ribbons yet. But there is a ribbon in one of those boxes, so... Actually, you know what? Let's fight these stupid fucking things. I'll blast some Harm 3 to try and get those wizard mummies. And we'll get this motherfucker burning them up. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You gotta believe. Cranking up the magic. Burning up the mummies and the mythical birds. Just I've got anti-death armor, but I don't have anti-status armor. And I think that it's possible. Oh no, that was the harm spell. Okay, so maybe do a cure on yourself. Have you thought about maybe curing yourself? You've been terminated. Monsty's perished. Alright. Let's talk to this robot. Take this cube. With it you can transfer to the floating castle. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate you giving me your favorite Rubik's Cube. Wizard Staff. Alright. So, this we can now use to cast infinite confuse spells. We'll drop the wooden staff. So we can get rid of Silver Axe, Great Axe, Silver Sword. Got another wooden... Let's get rid of that. Bye. So, Ice Sword is better than Flame Sword. I don't think there's any... I don't know. We'll keep the Coral Sword. Because we're gonna be going and fighting some underwater monsters, so I think that might have something to do with it. The Giant and Dragon Swords, I don't want to have to get rid of them, but I think we can kind of clean house now that we've got 2 Ice Swords, because nothing's gonna really beat that, so. But yeah, we're getting some cool magic items that we can use to cast spells. And we got a ribbon! Now who should we put it on? So, Shell, that's very nice. I think maybe... Oh, Jesus Christ. I almost dropped it. Who do we want protected from status? Probably this guy, just in case. One of the magic users, I would say. Right? That makes the most sense. I'll give it to Ass. There you go, buddy. Get equipped with ribbon. Tie a yellow ribbon around that old magic boy. Oh yeah, $13,000? Even more, so now we're up to like 20,000 probably. 25,000 and defense. It's like a massive, ridiculous sword. And here's another fight. Holy shit. Whoa-dee. Let us hurt them badly. Don't you hurt them badly. Don't you love their ways. And don't you love them as they're mummied out the tomb? I would really like to be in a Doors cover band. That would be amazing. I love the Doors so much. And being able to pull a Jim Morrison on stage. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. Can't stop saying that for whatever weird reason, but... Man, that would be great. every so often I slip right back into a Doors phase where I'm like obsessed. It's been happening for years. And there just came a time when I was like, oh, you know what? I really want to listen the song, the album LA Woman. And then it became, for probably 2 years maybe, it was like my Friday album at work, because we worked in a shop, so I would control the music for my area. Nobody could tell me nothing. So and man, it was just that set the tone for kind of the rest of the day. You know, it was like after first break, we've got that first bit out of the way, and just hearing that the first track is Changeling, so that bass line, oh, it's just it's just kind of like that automatic response, like, okay, now this happens every Friday, so we know it's Friday. Puts that mind in the Friday mood. We got that going. It's the theme song for Friday, so we know what's coming. The weekend, we get the fuck out of here. Shit. I've been uptown. I've been downtown. But I never been so broke that I couldn't leave town. That was one of my favorite tunes that we would do in the band. Like we did more than a few covers, but that was one I brought in and was like, we have to cover this. I think this would be a really good hard-hitting song to throw in there. And plus it gave me the ability to just do a little Jim Morrison. I'm a changeling. And that's a really, really good album. But also it's just, there's some moments on it where you can kind of hear that it's like an acceptance of it being the last album. Much in the way that the Beatles knew that Abbey Road was gonna be their last album while they were making it. But in a different way. Like, they knew the band was kind of breaking up and whatever, and they were going to be moving on to different things. LA Woman, they knew was their last album because Jim was so far gone at that point. And you can kind of hear it on a few of the tracks. It's like, yeah, he's wasted in the fucking vocal booth. He's still putting on a great performance, you know, don't get me wrong. It's not that. You can hear the drunkenness, but it's like, okay, they got really good stuff out of him. But what didn't they put on the album? You know, how much of that did they have to tell him, like, Jim, you're a little all over the place there, or like he didn't even probably realize what he was doing, or he was just going off and swearing or doing whatever. And, you know, that's the part you don't see. And also the other part of that is like, how much better a job might he have done if he wasn't like so fucked up? How more in control of his voice and his talent and his energy might he have been? And, you know, these are questions that will never be answered because he died like 1971, so. But I think they were in the process of kind of getting that last album together, and you know, they announced that they were done touring. They would never be touring again. They were gonna do the album probably and whatever, but they wouldn't be touring to support the album. And the reason being, again, Jim Morrison was just too fucked up. They couldn't trust that he was going to be able to be on stage and not just perform, but be able to perform without, like, doing something fucked up to shock the audience or get them banned from somewhere or whatever. Like, he started saying some weird shit. And it's really sad because he was an incredibly talented dude. But there's a song on, I mean, like, when you think LA Woman, obviously, so there's LA Woman, that song's on the record. Also Riders on the Storm, which closes out the record and is just such a, like, a very moving, moody, it rumbles like distant thunder. You know, when you hear that distant thunder kind of far, far away, it's not threatening, it's not in your face. You can hear it, but it's under the radar a little bit. Like, it's very in the background. And the song Riders on the Storm captures that kind of that in quiet intensity, you know, of there's a storm coming. The storm isn't here yet, but you know that there's that building. And they keep that. It's very reined in, it's got that groove, and it's just, there's the thunder track obviously playing in the background to kind of hammer the whole thing home. But so that's the last song on their last album, and it's Farewell to the Doors, farewell Jim Morrison. But I feel that, well, and there's probably like one or two other songs that are on that album that were, like, you know, the hits that people would know. When I think about that album, when it's party time, it's like, yeah, Changeling. But the overall kind of story of that album, I feel like, is represented by the song Hyacinth House. It captures kind of the lonely isolation and sadness of Jim Morrison, lyrically and also, like, in his performance. It, in terms of, like, the key and, like, the kinds of chords and, like, the melody and everything, it's a happy sounding song, but the delivery of Jim's performance and the lyrics tell a very different story. And it's very you know, like, what one of the lines is, I need a brand new friend that doesn't bother me. And he speaks a lot of stuff kind of, you know, poetically and things, but the overall tone is that just, like, loneliness. You know, it's 1970, 1971. Jim Morrison is in the fucking Doors. It's like one of the biggest bands around, and yet he's singing this song about, like, feeling isolated. And it's just, it's very, very sad to know that he, you know, and then the band was done and he was like, I have to go away. Went off to Paris, and he was there planning you know, writing poetry and planning some stuff, and then he died, and it's very sad. But yeah, I mean, that's a song that you should definitely check out. There's just like it's one of those songs that you would kind of listen to and have like a nod of respect, a half smile, and like a single tear if it were like playing in the background of a movie. If that was the movie of your life, that's what would be happening at that moment. It would definitely be like the denouement, when two people are like, well, off we go. It's been good. And it's just like, yeah, guess it has. What are they doing at the Hyacinth House? So yeah, thus concludes my lecture of the Doors album, LA Woman. Your reading will be chapters 3 through 5 on the middle period of Deep Purple. There will be a pop quiz, so study hard. See, I like that I can sit and have this and just like have these talks and ramble, and then they're preserved. Alright. Use a cabin just in case things go sideways. But yeah, I mean, I play video games, I talk about music and things that I like. Oh, we've got our magic. He's got points, look at that. Oh, our boy's he's getting so old. 21 is the limit, I guess. But yeah, you know, this stuff is like, oh, it's recorded and it's there and I put everything up on the channel and there it stays. So maybe like 3-4 years from now, some person randomly is gonna the first person to actually subscribe to the channel and like it and find value in it and be like, you know what, yeah, I'm gonna watch through these series. I like what this guy has to say. That's like best case scenario. Somebody's actually like, you know what, this is okay. And then I'm able to like point them to something. Like they see this episode and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna check out the Doors. I've heard of them, I've never really thought about listening to them. And then boom, if I can turn one person onto the Doors, even if it's just that album, then I have done my job. The Oasis Caravan, welcome. What do you want? Well, we've got a $50,000 bottle. I mean, I don't want to pay $50,000 for it, but also why not? Let's just see what it is. Okay. Thank you. What else? Nope. So people in the one town talking about the caravan, people in the other town talking about how somebody sold the ferry to a caravan owner. I wonder what we need to do. Okay. Let's see what happens. I had a teacher that talked like that at Mohawk. He was one of the most brilliant musicians I have ever met in my entire life. But yes, his overall demeanor was if George Takei and C-3PO had a baby. That's how I would describe him. Okay. Grab your pencils and we'll begin the test momentarily. And I feel that's a pretty spot on impression, but the guy was just a absolute wealth of musical knowledge. Unbelievable. I've talked about him before, but he did the lecture class about music history, survey of music. And it was great. I could listen to that guy talk all fucking day. But brilliant piano player. Insane. Okay, what do we do here? I'll let this bottle open. Pop, a fairy appears, then is gone. And now the fairy is here. That pirate trapped me in the bottle. I will draw Oxale from the bottom of the spring for you. Yay, we got Oxale. And now, on the next episode, we can go down into the shrine in the other town. But for now, I will bid you adieu to you and you and you. And we'll go stay in the inn. And in real life, I wish I was staying at the inn because they would have central heating. I mean, central air. We're... Get around that lady with the weird haircut. Save that data. $500 though. Oh man, perfect breeze. Perfect breeze at this exact moment. Oh, Pimp Style Bot's here. Let's see what quote knowledge we're dropping today. Love the people who saw you when you were invisible to everyone else. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for hanging. Thanks for lurking. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for watching in the future from the YouTubes. There's always room for more. Hopefully, you found something of value to inspire you in some way. To go and create something, go and make something, or at the very least, if you were having a shitty day, maybe something that I said made you smile, or maybe you were so incensed and grossed out by the sound of my voice that you decided to, who knows, become one of the first people to go to Mars and never come back, so you never have to hear me, but then you've made a great stride in humanity. So, that being said, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you another time. Bye-bye.